What is going on, guys? What's going on, 27 Squad? Welcome back into another video. Schoen just did a press conference earlier today at the NFL Combine and answered a couple of questions. Here are my biggest takeaways from today's presser. Let's go. Alright, before we start, as always, if you guys are enjoying the content, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We are on the precipice of 9K subs. Hopefully we can get there by, maybe let's say by the Combine, and let's get to 10,000 before the start of next season. So, and before we start, as always, make sure you guys check out the sponsor of the channel, BetUS. Check them out for a 150% sign-up bonus up to $2,000 on your first deposit. Second and third are 125% as long as you use the promo code YouTube150. That is YouTube150. And make sure you guys bet responsibly, and good luck. Alright, so there were a couple of things talked about in this presser, but obviously with the big topic of conversation being the quarterback position, it was hard to kind of shift focus or even want to care about anything else but, the quarterback position. But there were little talks about, Saquon and the free agents that the Giants have right now, but like I said, just wasn't the big topic of conversation. It's very apparent that Schoen and the Giants organization are looking heavily into the quarterback situation, obviously with only having Tommy DeVito on roster right now. And so, they're going to go into the draft and take one, and they're going to address it in free agency. He said something about that here.
Yeah, and where we are, Tommy DeVito is our only quarterback on the roster, so you may evaluate both of those. Those both may be options. So, again, we don't know what's going to happen in the draft. We don't know who's going to be there. When we get around these kids, they may or may not be a fit for us. So, we're going to have to address the position somewhere. And even if you get a young quarterback, you'd like to have a vet, in the room with them to show them the ropes and how to be a pro. So, we're looking at all different avenues. It's, hey, is this guy going to be really good for a young quarterback, or is this guy a starter? Or can we get a guy in the draft? Or if we do, should we have a guy that's more of a guy that can develop and show a guy how to be a pro? So, we're going to look at, vets. We're going to look at the draft. We're going to look at trade candidates. We're going to look at under every rock to, find the best prospect for us going into the 25 season.
So we talked a bit about, getting your guy at quarterback, and, it's something that I brought up as well, is like, you don't know what you're going to have on draft day. You don't know what kind of situation you're going to be on draft day. It's just a long ways away from free agency. So you have to address quarterback in free agency first, and then go into the draft addressing what else do you need. So he also said, when you're going into the draft and you're, signing players in free agency, you got to be like, in free agency, you got to be ready to go play a game with your free agency team, and then of course, it's not a complete roster, but you got to be at least able to go into a game with, just addressing free agency. And of course, you have the draft later. Somebody also asked a question about Matt Stafford and the Rams allowing or granting Matt Stafford to, seek trades elsewhere and to trade talks with other teams and this, that, and so forth. And he pretty much just said that, you'll have to ask the Rams about that. That's a question for the Rams. That's literally all he said. There's no point of playing the clip. It's also very hard to hear the questions that are being asked because for whatever reason, there was no overhead mic for the media. So we barely have any idea what the questions are being asked. We just have to depend on Schoen answering the question, and from whatever words I can pick up with putting my earphone all the way to my ear. So good job, Giants. There was an interesting question asked at the top of this presser where the person asking the question kind of referenced to last year's draft and said, hey, you were in a position last year where you wanted to move up and you just couldn't do it with New England because, you wanted the same guy. Is this the same situation going into this draft? Is the number one overall pick more available than it was last year? Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, Jordan, we haven't had any of those conversations yet. That's, this week there'll be a lot of that going on, conversations, what the time frame will be on, teams open to moving. Again, it's in the infancy stages of getting to know these kids and get around them. So, I look back on some of the trades that have happened in the past before the draft, whether it was the, Jets and the Colts in the 2018 draft. That was like late March, early April. I know Carolina and the Bears did it, I think it was March 10th or, not long after the combine. So teams are on different time frames. There are different points in their process in terms of the information that they have and the capability to make those type of decisions that you're comfortable moving out or even the inverse, us moving up. So, a lot of that information will, be gathered over the next week or so, and, that'll help us map out our spring.
Now, I'll be honest with you. If the Giants wanted to go up to trade for the number 1 overall pick, I believe they can do it. Literally, the only thing that I'm worried about is the same situation we were in last year where both the potential trade partners wanted the same guy. I said this last year, and I still think the same thing this year. If you're trying to trade, if you are lower than somebody and you're trying to trade up to a certain position to draft a specific player, but that team that's on top of you that you want to trade down also wants the same player, it's just not going to happen. They're not going to give up on their player to let you take them for a little bit of draft capital. At the end of the day, the Giants aren't going to be giving up that much to go up to the 1st overall pick. Already being at the 3rd overall pick, you're most likely not giving up another 1st round pick next year. It's probably going to be next year's 2nd, this year's 3rd, or even this year's 2nd if they want to make sure they push it as far as they can go. It's not going to be that much of value to deter them from getting the guy that they also want. If they want Cam Ward and the Giants want Cam Ward, the Giants aren't going to get it. And I'll just combine these two together. He was also asked if he was going to talk to the Titans during the combine like he did with the New England Patriots in last year's combine that we saw on Hard Knocks. Here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I'll talk to all 31 general managers or whoever the head of the personnel department is if they don't have a general manager here. And it's not just trades for the draft. It's any cap casualties they may have, any trade candidates. And sometimes those conversations may come up like, hey, what are you thinking in the draft? Hey, if you guys are open to moving back, I'd be willing to talk with you, or the other way, like, hey, if you guys want to come up to 3, at some point, give me a call. We may be open to that. So have a good relationship with most of those guys around the league, and a lot of those conversations will happen this week, like you saw last year.
And his answer was very general. I mean, it's hard watching these Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll pressers because they know what we're trying to get at when we ask these questions, what the information we want to hear, but they'll just generalize the entire thing. Like, he was also asked about moving up in the draft, and he's like, well, we can move down too. That's always an option as well. Like, damn, man, we know you're not moving down. He's just trying to throw in just a bunch of wrenches so nobody knows what's going on. And I guess from an inside looking out way, of thinking, that's respectable. That's fine. You never want to know what somebody outside of your organization is thinking about what you're going to do in a draft. You never know. So I respect that, but damn, there's never any information to gather. Now, last year, there was a huge controversy with the Giants, Joe Schoen more specifically, taking Malik Neighbors over the next 3 quarterbacks that were available in that draft, and they went pretty early. In fact, 6 quarterbacks went in the top 12, and the ones that were taken after the Giants were Michael Penix, J.J. McCarthy, and Bo Nix. Joe Schoen spoke a little bit about taking someone, for example, like a quarterback that you don't necessarily believe in, but just taking him just to take him, and this is what he said.
Yeah, definitely believe in the evaluation process that we have in place. Whether it was when we were in Buffalo or what we've done here, we've continued to do it each year. And again, reflecting on the seasons that some of the quarterbacks that we liked or didn't like have had, I believe in that. And we'll continue with that process the way we've done in the past. And again, you can't manufacture these things. So if you draft one and you don't believe in who that player is, just to say you did it, I mean, you got to believe in who the player is and that they can be a eventual franchise quarterback or whatever it may be. So again, we're going through that process now to say that there's going to be the one there at 3 or in the 2nd round or 3rd round or whatever it may be. We're at the infancy stages of the process right now.
Now, I completely empathize and I completely understand what he's trying to get at here. If you are going through your draft process and if they trust their own draft process, they trust how they feel about a player in their evaluation of them, if they don't feel like he's the guy, they're just not going to draft him. A lot of people were mad, and I guess a part of me, myself, was a little upset. I love Malik Neighbors, so I was so happy with Malik Neighbors, but and I wasn't thrilled with the next 3 quarterback options. I loved Michael Penix, but I had that injury concern. I understood why Joe Schoen didn't take those 3 quarterbacks, but a lot of people were upset about him, where they're saying, you need a quarterback, just take a quarterback. And I don't believe that mindset at all. It's not a winning mindset. You have to take the guy that you believe in, especially at the quarterback position. You can willy-nilly draft a corner. You can willy-nilly draft a defensive tackle. You cannot willy-nilly draft a quarterback. And I know Joe Schoen has said, I think Chat Sports said this, it wasn't televised, it wasn't anywhere on video that I can see, but he says that Joe Schoen said you just need to take a swing at quarterback and keep swinging at quarterback, which I also agree with. But there is a point. You have to keep swinging on quarterbacks you actually believe in, not just swinging on quarterbacks just to swing. You understand what I'm trying to get at here? You got to think that this guy is the guy. If your process was wrong and he's not the guy, then you got to go ahead and swing somewhere else. That does not mean you go ahead and draft any quarterback that is available because you think that you need a quarterback. You can't go into a draft like that. So, although you may disagree, you may agree with how the Giants evaluate their quarterbacks, but I respect that they don't take a guy they don't believe is going to be a franchise quarterback. Because if you go into your evaluation process, you go into the draft, and you take a guy that you yourself does not believe in to be a franchise guy, you just congratulations, you just lost your job to a guy you didn't even think can make you keep your job. So I completely understand what he's saying there, and I get it. Now we have to go into this draft hoping that the Giants kind of believe in one of those guys. And if they believe in one of those guys, they're going to do everything that they can to make sure he works out, rather than just taking a guy and they only do what they can to make sure he works out of desperation of keeping their job, not because they actually think he can take them to the promised land. And the last thing I want to talk about is him talking about Cam Ward, because we just heard a bunch of talks about Shedeur Sanders. Maybe it's only because the Giants are closely connected to Shedeur Sanders, being that Joe Schoen has talked to Deion Sanders before. Brendan Brown has been at Colorado's campus before talking to the players. And also the Giants are in prime position for Shedeur Sanders with the 3rd overall pick. And Cam Ward is consensusly taken at the 1st overall pick. But here's what he had to say about Cam Ward, because I was really interested if he was going to be asked about him.
Yeah, I haven't been around Cam. Again, that's something that we'll have to get around. But, I've seen him play a couple times. I was at the Cal game, and they dug themselves a little bit of hole. Some of it was they were in a hole because of him, but he also was able to get him out of it. And they won the game because of him. So, those are traits that you look for. The gotta have it moments, whether it's Virginia Tech, that Cal game, to bring a team back. And when everybody in the building knows you're going to throw it, that you can throw it. So, and there's several quarterbacks in this draft that are like that. So not just Cam. So excited to get around the prospects this week and throughout the spring.
So he didn't get into a whole scouting report on Cam Ward, as I don't expect him to do so. But one of the biggest thing he mentioned is one of the biggest thing I took from Cam Ward is, yes, listen, sometimes he's going to be the guy to put you in a rut, but he's always going to be the guy to take you out of it. He's a leader. He elevates the team around him. He's a winner. He's a guy that can go out there and put the team on his shoulders and go out there and win a game. I mean, it's really reminiscent to what he said earlier when talking about a quarterback that he likes.
Hey, you lose 2 in a row. Who's the guy that's going to come in the locker room and rally the troops? Who's the first one in? Who's the last one to leave? Who's going to elevate everybody around him? I think the quarterback can elevate the entire team. So I can't just say, hey, I want a guy that's, winning's important, all that's important, but there's a lot that goes into the quarterback position, and it's a unique media market. Everybody knows that's standing here. So can they handle the pressure? Can they handle adversity? Can they handle, people talking negatively about them, over extended period of time? Hopefully not extended period of time if we take them, but that's the reality of the situation. So, how can they handle all those things? And that's what we need to try to find out this time of year.
So you heard him describe a quarterback that he was willing on taking a chance on. Does that not describe Cam Ward to you? Please, God, I'm trying to manifest. Take Cam Ward, please. I've got a video dropping maybe tomorrow on the Giants possibly trading to the number 1 overall pick and how the Giants can do that and what's the real possibility of that happening. So that will be coming out tomorrow. I recorded it like 3 days ago, but I forgot that Joe Schoen was going to have a presser. So maybe I add stuff in there. Maybe I don't. Maybe I just throw it up the way it is. But that being said, that is the video, guys. That is the breakdown and takeaways of Joe Schoen at the NFL Combine presser. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe if you're new to the channel. We've got a lot more content coming your way in this month. Free agency is right around the corner as well, along with other mock drafts and things like that. So that being said, leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Let's get to 9K, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Woo!